Lately, there's a lot of buzz in terms of data protection and these notorious new requirements, resulting in massive consent requests, lengthy privacy forms, and numerous clicking boxes, all of which can get you overwhelmed and confused. This also applies to your photos. Should you consent before your photo is taken or before it is uploaded? Does the photo qualify as biometric data, which is treated as sensitive data? How are they processed by social media, by the government, and by the police? Is this processing lawful? Can they really examine your photos without your knowledge? Well, first of all, not all photos are to be treated as biometric data. Only the photos processed through a specific technical means that allow for the unique identification or authentication of a person are biometric data. These are, for example, the photos in our ID documents and passports. Usually, these photos are taken and processed by the law enforcement authorities or government authorities. For instance, border control at the airport. In such cases, explicit consent is not required. But what are the cases where your consent will be needed in case that someone takes your photo? Well, there is no unified answer for sure. It depends on what situation it is taken in, whether it is in public or a nightclub, your capacity. Are you a public figure, speaker to an event, or just a pedestrian? And it even depends on what you are doing. Are you violating the law in this photo, for instance? Each situation should be examined on its own, but what is sure, you have rights, such as the right to access, meaning that you have the right to receive information if your photo is still kept in storage, if it is published and where, etc. And to some extent the right to erasure, also known as the right to be forgotten, essentially to request deletion of the photo, not only from where it is published, but in general. And what about CCTV cameras? Should I be asked for my consent to be filmed? What would happen if your photo is taken at the moment of committing a crime? And if the police want to use these records, should they seek my consent? Can I ask them to delete my photos? Well, the thing is that the much talked about data protection reform does not end with the GDPR. There's another piece of legislation just as important, Directive 2016/680, on the protection of natural persons with regard to the processing of personal data by competent authorities for the purposes of the prevention, investigation, or prosecution of criminal offences or the execution of criminal penalties, and on the free movement of such data, also known as the Police Directive. However, it refers to all actors involved in criminal matters, not only to police, investigators, prosecutors, judges, probation officers, and prison staff, etc. But why are the two legal acts essentially dealing with the same topic? On the surface, it might seem that both GDPR and Police Directive deal with the same issue. A more in-depth look, though, shows that different situations require a different set of rules for data protection. And while the interest of the individual certainly trumps those of a company, direct marketing for instance, when it comes to public security, striking the right balance between fundamental rights and the greater good for the society is a challenge, which may result in restriction of the data subject's rights. So, if video recordings or photos of you witnessing a crime are available, the police process them for the performance of a task carried out by a competent authority for the purposes of investigation and the prosecution of the criminal offence. This doesn't mean that you don't have any rights in this matter, however. First of all, the Police Directive states that different categories of data subjects, e.g. offenders, witnesses, are to be treated differently. Then, the fact that your data is being handled for criminal investigation doesn't mean that you are not entitled to any rights. You can still request access to your data, its rectification and even deletion. However, the controller here, being a competent authority and considering the sensitive subject of the processing, means that a thorough assessment is to be done, which will show whether your rights and interests prevail over the purpose of the processing. Anyway, if the exercise of your rights is denied, the controller must provide argumentation as to why this is their decision. Interested in exercising your rights and data protection under GDPR and Directive 2016/680? Find out more on the Inform Project's website, informproject.eu.